Tere taas, hea PÖFF TV vaataja. Oleme sisse juhatamas uut filmi. Seekord on päris lähedalt meie naabrite leedukate juurest. On jõudmas üks väga huvitav ajalooline film, mis kätkeb endas kahte erinevat ajastut, aga samas ühte ja sama väga rasket ja keerulist lugu leedukate ajaloost, mis mõneti puudutab väga lähedalt ka meid. Nii et vaatame treilerit.
Pradžioje Štraugo Chruščiovo lūpų skambėjo raginimas visų šalių vyriausybės.
20 metų. Tavo veidas visiškai nepasikeitė. Nuo tada, kai aš tave mačiau paskutinį kartą.
Irgi tas pats keulė. Visai neseniai į Tarybų Lietuvą grįžo režisierius Gediminas Itauskas. Mano komanda atliko profilaktinį darbą ir išsiaiškino, kad bus filmuojamas filmas ir scenarijus labai tiksliai atpasakoja Lietuvio garažo žudynės. Tai man reikia susidraugauti su draugų Gediminų.
Visam pasaulio mes trise būtume.
Этот город погиб, этот город устал.
Turiu pasiūlymą atnaujinti 1944 metais dėl įrodymų stokos nutrauktą Lietuvio garažo bylą. O ką jūs veikiate tą vasarą? 41 metais. Mes gavom iš paties archyvo naujas nuotraukas, kurių mes dar nebuvom matę, susijusios su ta byla.
Kokį pagrindų jūs čia mane laikot, aš niekaip nesuprantu.
Mama!
Izaokai, kur tu? Aš to išeisiu iš proto. Izaokai, kur tu? Aš to neišeisiu iš proto. Aš jau seniai išėjau ir...
Kur tu grįžai, Gedai? Lietuvio garažas pavardė.
Aš gyvas. Izaokas gyvas.
Prisipažins, pulkininkai. Man reikia tiesiog laiko, pulkininkai.
Pauzė.
So, hello Jurgis. Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Not a long journey, but still a journey. Yeah. So, a little bit about yourself. Who is this guy Jurgis behind the film?
I don't know,
Who made it?
I'm from Lithuania. I finished film school in Lithuania. Film directing. I don't know. In the school, I was very interested in history. I started to studying history in Lithuania before studying film, and I don't know. Now I'm making my own films. I'm working with my friends, directors, and it's just. So I'm directing, I'm filming, I don't know, editing,
How did you end up in editing? Okay, how did you end up in filmmaking? Like, what was the story behind that? You just woke up one day
I
and
don't know. Well,
I'm gonna be a director.
Well, my father was bringing these VHSs, home, and from a young age, I started to watch films, and I don't know, he brought a lot of those, and so I was just skipping school and staying well, pretending I'm sick and sitting home and watching films. Yeah, so that's, I think,
Watching
yeah,
film.
how I fell in love with the movies, and yeah. Yeah,
Probably your father is happy about it now. Maybe not so happy during school time. All right. And the interest in history, as I said, I'm a big fan of history myself, and it really sticks out from the film also that you have a connection with the history and the very difficult history of your country. So it is a very difficult story. How did you end up with this one,
Well,
and the courage
I don't
to
know,
take it on?
in my short films, I was trying to talk about, I don't know, to talk about this theme of, madness and, this psychological traumas of people. And I remember reading this writer, Antanas Škėma, who is my film based on his short story. I remember him reading in school, and then I pick up later his later works, and yeah, and I found same stories as I was doing in my film. So that's how I just picked up this story and tried to make a film out of it. And yeah, and he's the best writer we have. So yeah, and for my first feature, I needed like a really strong story. So I just pick up his short story, Isaac. Yeah.
Was it scary at the start? Intimidating? Yeah, and was it scary at the start? Intimidating to take it on? As we discussed earlier, it's a very difficult story. It's not only, of course, the whole thing about the Second World War turmoil. It was very difficult for all the nations, but you get caught straight in the middle of the action of this Operation Barbarossa.
Well,
you were the first hit after Poland.
I don't
much.
know, when Germans invaded Lithuania in 1941, so for many years they were sticking us with their propaganda, and lots of people they were very tired of the Soviet invasion, so they really believed what Germans were. They were just giving us, hope of our, independence. So that's why they just, started doing their orders, and things led to, I don't know, very tragic events for our country.
I agree. I think there was a lot of deception from both sides, the Soviets and the Nazis, and it's like the both sides were giving out promises, never to fulfill them, and probably that's why there's so many tragic stories, because they gave people the sense of hope, and afterwards you just
the people
started
were caught
seeing
up
that
in the psychosis of the war. So, and either they could be heroes, or they could be murderers, or they could be the silent watchers. So I think that's maybe the worst thing. Just to not do anything. So. Yeah, and this theme is very difficult, but I think that I don't know, we need to start talking about that, and it's just if you have I think that the history of our country has this like a big stone, deep inside of us, and I don't know, somebody needs to pick up these stones to the surface. Yeah. That's it.
To let the light in. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and as I said, it is a very difficult one to choose. It's like it takes courage to tell a story like this, and especially from your side, as you said, like the silent watchers. I love the perspective that you took as a director. That you're not trying to find any answer. You're just raising the difficult questions that the people don't have the courage to ask themselves or their neighbors or relatives. So it really brings out a very difficult time from one part of your nation's history. So thank you for that, for opening it up, and I think it's something that needs to be done, as you said yourself. Yeah. And, a little bit about the main character, Isaac. It's how did you end up like? Why did you decide not to cover the whole story, but just to find this one character to revolve it around? Did it make it harder
that's,
or more simpler? How would you say?
The only thing that I took from the short story of the writer, because he's telling a story about a Lithuanian activist. Who kills his Jewish neighbor Isaac in 1941, and then he's living in America and in 20 years he has this increasing feelings of guilt and these images of the past, and well, the writer wrote this story as a diary from a psychiatric hospital. So yeah, and so in my film, Isaac is like, he's like not a character, he's like a ghost, you know, because yeah, we see him only in the 1941, and then he's in the mind of the main character who is feeling this increasing, you know, burden of guilt, and he somehow tries to cope with it, but it leads him to madness because, you know, it's this murder, you know, just eats him from inside. So yeah.
Yeah. And the scene itself with Isaac, it's you can see him turning away before the shot, and it's I think that gives out the whole sensation of it. You know, it's like he tried to turn his eyes away for 20 years, but it still kept haunting him. So Isaac was, as you said,
so,
Isaac
you know,
was
I
his stone
in
the inside.
like, you know, like a biblical murder, you know, when you turn your eyes away or you give another cheek, you know. So yeah, so it's kind of symbolical, and the end. I don't want to spoil the film, but yeah, in the end of the film, they meet again, you know, and it's so kind of try to combine these two shots as a, you know, very I don't know, a search for forgiveness, maybe, you know.
Yeah, and as you said, I think the whole era was about, for so many people, it was about turning the other cheek, and it still is, as we discussed. So I think it's a very important thing to do, to open it up a little bit. But you, as a very young filmmaker, did you come up? Was there any like challenges when you started, like developing the film? Was there any other older, smarter guys who were telling you like maybe you shouldn't do it? It's a difficult one.
I had
or
these
so?
comments, but you know, well, I had a very, I don't know, a very good team. I had my younger friends supporting me, and my script writer, you know. One of them is a young director, Saula, who helped me to write the script, and I had another philosopher who. So yeah, we were going to the KGB archives and digging up the information, you know, just to build up the story.
A lot of work.
Yeah, so it was kind of, I don't know. For me, I always wanted to do like a, you know, I don't want to call it a sensational story, but like a very strong story. So yeah, so
Did you wanted it to feel painful for the viewer in a way that like the history itself?
Well, yeah, I think yeah. Well, but there is so much pain in the film, not because of Holocaust, but because of the immigration, you know, and you know and the 60s, the Soviet rule, you know, the people are they really didn't have, you know, any rights, and it was, you know, everything. I don't know. You needed to hide, well, to if you wanted to create, you needed to create, you know, behind the lines or. Between the lines. That's the
Between the lines, yeah. It's like the literature from all the books, all the stories. Even in Estonia, I know how it goes. You read the books and you see so much hidden between the lines because you couldn't say it out loud. And I think it's art by itself during these times. Like even filmmakers.
Another character in the film, a filmmaker who is trying to create his film between the lines of the, you know, of the KGB because they're watching him. So yeah, so I have, you know, these different parts of our very sad history in the film, and you know, and yeah, and I have this woman character who's trying to break free, you know, from her marriage, from you know, from men. So yeah, so it's like a different.
And the end ends up with two guys falling for him. That's life. You know. Yeah, and as you said, this whole thing about with this Holocaust, I think it's like it's something that of course everybody, the whole world knows about it. But now after all these years, it looks like just one big thing, and we saw very often don't remember the characters behind it, you know, the individuals. And I think it's very important, as you did with the film, to bring out the separate stories, just to give out the harshness. Otherwise,
I really
think
wanted
we will
to
forget
make
it.
this film, you know, about a murder, you know, not about a murder of a nation, but about a single murder that just a guy, he kills his neighbor, you know, for wrong reasons, and well, and because of that he's a coward and he's afraid for his own life, he needs to take his neighbor's life, and but it's more about this, you know, personal guilt that drives you to madness, you know, and of course it combines the guilt of a nation, of the world, you know. So yeah, so well, but you know, cinema, you know, is and a film is a personal story, so you can't tell a story of a nation. You can tell it, but through personal experiences.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, as I try to say, that the true Holocaust or the suffering of the nation, it dissolves sometimes the individual stories and takes the humanity out of it. You know, if we talk about the big thing in history or one nation, then we don't see the trees behind the forest.
You know,
sometimes
everybody they're trying not to speak about this, so. That's why I tried to impersonate in my character. You know, he hides this guilt, you know, for such a long time, and when the facts are here, he still tries to hide it. You know, just till the last second. You know, when he's caught. You know, so yeah. So I think will take you know another, as you said before, 25 years. You know, answer all the questions to our, to this part of history. Yeah, and there are gonna be like new parts of history. So it's these questions are just circulating for years. Yeah.
Yeah, and as we discussed earlier, yeah, it's been years and years, and the questions still remain unanswered. And as we see from the film, also we have the good questions, but not the answers. So yeah, there's something to so it's something to look forward still in the further future. Yeah, but a little bit about the film itself. Your cooperation with your DOP, it switches between black and white to color and back and forth, and I think it really helps to bring out the different layers of the story, and it's a good decision. So I would ask, how much do you trust your DOP with
well,
just the framing
we're
and the
working
picture
for a
itself?
long time, for 5 years, and now we're when we started, we talked so much, I was, all the time I was, we were talking about composition and lighting, and now we don't talk. He just, we just feel each other. And the thing is that this film we shot in long shots. Every scene was one shot, and later on we edited it. Yeah, but So
quite a challenge as a
I
director
did that
also.
because I really wanted for the actors to play, the whole scene. And and for my DOP, we use as less lighting as we can, and all the film was shot with the gimbal. So so he was shooting like the scenes for 13 minutes, with the gimbal, and then and I like to make like lots of takes. So I remember this one scene was 13 minutes long, and we made like 17 takes or something. So but the thing is that he's my DOP, for me, he dances with the camera, and more takes he does, the better they are, because then when he knows where everybody will go, he can just quit of asking himself how to compose. Then he can just go, and he dances. So
it's like a big
as
dance.
lightning as you can get, and then you can shoot from every angle you want. So and it's easy to edit then, just
And of course, for a DOP, it's quite challenging also to switch between black and white and color. You have to know your way around.
With the color. So
especially with the lighting,
the
everything.
thing is that we were doing, the set dressing for the black and white. We were doing the set dressing for the black and white. We didn't, we didn't take notice to the colors. But for the colorful images, there were more work with the colors, and with the different lamps we could use. So and and with black and white and noir picture like ours, it's a little bit easier, to light with the strong shadows or
but it looks great. It looks really good, and I think it's very important to like story-wise also. It's like it somehow brings out the tension
the color
much
is
easily.
the new beginning for the director who comes, for Andrew's, for the main character's wife, who's starting a new life, So
a new era of
and
filmmaking
when
also.
The past takes much more of the mind of the main character, I come back to the black and white, and so.
Beautiful build-up, very nicely done.
Thanks
All right,
so much.
we could speak hours and hours. Thank you so much for being here. So enjoy the premiere and I will check it out for sure also, so we'll see you in the cinema. Nii et jah, kallis vaataja, siit siis väike usutlus meie naaberrahvusest režissööriga, midagi meie enda lähedalt ja üks väga tugev jõuline lugu. Minge kinno, vaadake ära, siin on mida oodata.